Amen. Thank you, Ross. I love the way that God works. Well, I don't always love it, but I notice it. And I think it's really quite appropriate when we think about Remembrance Sunday this morning to think about the cost of that and what it cost for us to have our freedom. And the title this morning for the last in our Mature and Disciple series is Sent Ones, a Costly Mission. And it's a topic that honestly I found really difficult looking at the last couple of weeks. It's been taken from Matthew 10, which was the reading this week. So hopefully you've had a chance to look at it. But honestly, it's been something that I've found quite difficult. It's quite hard-hitting. Some of it and some of the language in Matthew 10 is hard to equate with the Jesus that I know and that I love and that I walk alongside. You see, the language in Matthew 10 is divisory. It's sheep, it's wolves, it's those that are in, it's those that are out. It's those that are using the sword. It is, in fact, war, language. The Christian life, at least according to the Apostle Matthew in this chapter, is difficult. And it's costly. Now, I've got a question as we get started. Honestly, like now, 2024 in Scotland. Does anyone really want a life like that? If we're honest with ourselves about this passage, it jars. It kind of sticks in the throat. And honestly, I, for one, just don't really want to deal with it. I don't want to talk about spiritual authority, about impure spirits, or driving out demons. What does that even mean in our context in 2024? What does this actually look like in practice? And what on earth does it mean to just take what you need for the journey? How does that play out in a consumerist society in Scotland in 2024? Does this mean no savings, no holiday money, no pension? What does this mean? What does it mean to shake the ground off your feet? Matthew chapter 10 is a record of Jesus' instructions to his 12 apostles as he sends them out on short-term mission trips to the towns of Galilee. He also includes warnings and encouragement about the persecution that they will experience. You see, if you're sent by Jesus, it's difficult. It's a costly mission. This is Matthew 10 and the first 8 verses. Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out impure spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles: Simon and his brother Andrew, James and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, James and Thaddeus, Simon and Judas, who betrayed him. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions: do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. As you go, proclaim this message: the kingdom of heaven has come near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, freely you now give. Right from the start, Jesus is giving his disciples authority. Spiritual authority, as in drive out impure spirits. Physical authority, as in heal every disease and sickness. In the book of Matthew, impure spirits are evil, corrupt, and sinful entities that are allied with Satan. They physically manifested themselves in people. Jesus gave his disciples the authority to drive these spirits out and also to heal people. Can you imagine what that must have been like? Just think about that for a minute, compared to what you maybe experience in your day-to-day life here and now. It was so physical. It was so demonstrable. 1 minute, people were clearly not well or not in their right mind. And the next moment, they were calm and they were healed. You see, when Jesus sent his disciples out, it wasn't primarily an intellectual exercise to convince people about Jesus. Let me say that again. When Jesus sent his disciples out, it wasn't primarily an intellectual exercise to convince people about Jesus. I think that's what we've turned it into a lot of the time in Scotland in 2024. This was a physical and bodily healing. This was manifestations of God's work in people's lives. And my question this morning is, what implications does that have for us here and now as sent ones? The authority from Jesus comes not because of how great you are, but because of how great the person given the authority is. So this isn't to put a lot on you this morning. I'm mainly asking questions because I'm trying to figure it out as well. Jesus is the authority figure. And I know it sounds cheesy, but I couldn't think of a better way of putting it, because it's not who you are, it's whose you are. The authority and power doesn't come from us. It's not because of stuff we've done. It's because of who Jesus is. I, for one, need help with this. I really do. Coming back from sabbatical, I'm exhausted. My reflection is that I'm tired because of my desire to do things by myself. My desire to control outcomes, both physical and spiritual. And you know the conclusion that I've come to? I'm not able to. I can't. It's not healthy for me, it's not healthy for my family, and it's not healthy for us. This is not what Jesus is asking us to do. He's asking us to follow him, not control situations, or our workplaces, or our families, or our ministries. He says, follow me. One of the things that I think why I struggle so much with this is because I don't want to count the cost, because Jesus said it's going to be costly. It's going to affect everything. Read the chapter. It's going to affect your family relations. It's going to affect your workplaces. It's going to affect everything. It's going to be painful. I think so often we think we're supposed to have a great life, right? It's supposed to be easy and straightforward. That's the narrative that's going on inside my head. How can I do this so that it's easier? So that my life is easier? So that I'm happier? Well, that's not Matthew 10. Matthew 10 is saying you sign up to follow Jesus. Yes, there's going to be miracles. Yes, there's going to be incredible things happening, but guess what? It's costly. It's going to be difficult. And my question to you this morning is, are you willing to count that cost? It says, don't go out among the Gentiles or the Samaritans. Is this because Jesus didn't care about the Gentiles? Well, clearly not. John 4 in the story of the woman at the well would demonstrate that clearly is not the case. Then why? Why the lost sheep of Israel? I don't know exactly, but I think it's because you have to start at home. You've got to start with the people that know you best. Authenticity and vulnerability start at home. We've got to be authentic in the sharing of our faith. If we can't start at home, if we can't be real at home, if we can't care about home, then don't become a conference preacher. If we can't start with our family and friends, then it's not authentic, relational-driven ministry. It's a project where it's more about you and your fame and your name. You see, I love to travel. I've had the privilege of traveling all over the world. I lived in the States for 7 years. I've been on mission trips to Ireland, Romania, and Russia. And St. John's too has been involved in mission in Rwanda and supporting mission in different places around the world. However, recently we've become more localized. Recently we've been focused on bringing God's mission to Linlithgow with this Lowport project. 2 of our mission partners are also locally based. We have the New Well, and as you've heard about the last few weeks, we also have Youth Space. I think God is saying to us that I've got you for Linlithgow. I've got you for the towns and communities around this area. I've got you for Scotland. I have got you for the nations, but right now, at the moment, I want you to focus at home. And that starts with your families and with your neighbours and with your friends. I want us to learn what it looks like to be missional here. You see, it's too easy to disappear to do mission in a different context. If we're honest, it really doesn't cost us anything. You can go and you can come back a few weeks later. When you do mission here, when you're sent here, when you count the cost here, you can't. You can't. You do mission in the context that you live and you work and you have your being. This is costly discipleship. This is what it looks like to follow Jesus in 2024 in Scotland. Another question for you, for me. When was the last time you had a conversation with your neighbour or your colleague about your faith journey? When was the last time that you found yourself living differently and making different choices than this culture makes because you counted the cost? It's challenging. It can be strange and it can be difficult. It may well be that we've got out of practice. And my question this morning is, are we prepared to go back there? Are we prepared again to count the cost? Do not get any gold or silver or copper to take with you in your belts. No bag for the journey or extra shirt or sandals or a staff. For the worker is worth his keep. Whatever town or village you enter, search there for some worthy person and stay at their house until you leave. As you enter the home, give it your greeting. If the home is deserving, let your peace rest on it. If it is not, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake the dust off your feet. Truly, I tell you, it will be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. As we go along this journey, and again, I speak to myself more than any of you, trust God for provision. Not your family, not your friends, not your job, not your pension, God. Jesus. Christians trust Jesus. I struggle with that so much because everything about me wants to trust myself. I want to earn my own money, provide for my family, sort out the church finances by myself. However, in God's kingdom, and following Jesus, and in the Jesus way and in the discipleship way, it's about learning to follow God. In God's kingdom, there is something about provision. Financial, emotional, spiritual. It's about allowing God to provide for your needs. And it's allowing God to allow other people to provide for your needs. You see, here in the everyone gets to play ethos, we are all priests. We all get to help each other. And it's back to that vulnerability and authenticity thing where we're willing to listen and we're willing to be vulnerable with each other. And just finally, I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore, be as shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. Be on your guard. You will be handed over to the local councils and be flogged in the synagogues. I told you it was kind of hard-hitting. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles. But when they arrest you, do not worry about what to say or how to say it. At that time, you will be given what to say. For it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. Sheep among wolves. What does this mean? We have to go out and make an impact on the world. We've not to stay safe. We've not to stay at home. We've to go out there. We've to bring God's kingdom to our communities. We've to be shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. What does this mean? I think it means we need to be astute, wise, calm, resilient, well-versed in managing complexity. You see, it is not easy to be in the world and not of it, to steal another cliche in 2024. It's much easier to hang about in church land with church people. People that think like us, people that behave like us, people that don't challenge our thinking and behavior. You see, following Jesus in 2024 is a costly business. And my question for us this morning is, are we prepared to count the cost? Let's just pray together. God, I find this message really challenging for me. And I just ask you to forgive me when I don't trust you and when I don't lean on you for what I need. I just pray for our church family here, God. I pray that they would know what it looks like to trust you more and to lean into you more. God, I really sense that we're on a journey and you've been talking to us and you've shown us amazing things with us being able to get this building. But really it's not about this. This is really just the start. I really believe that you're calling us into something that is really deep and it really leans every part of ourselves into relationship with you. And you're asking us to choose. You're not demanding it, you're asking it. And I just pray for everyone in here that they'll be able to take some time today or this week to count the cost for themselves. As you call us into deeper things, I pray that you'd help us to follow you and continue to follow you. In your name, amen. I find it really interesting how God weaves things together. So it just so happens to be the end of our Maturing Disciples series. What does it look like for us to be disciples? It just so happens to be Remembrance Sunday as well, as we think about what it looks like to look back in generations before us that counted the cost, and us to be grateful for their sacrifice. And also, it's my huge honor and privilege for us to host Linda taking her Voyager vows this morning. And I'm just delighted that Scott is here, and you've heard me talk about Scott before, as he is a spiritual director and soul friend in my life, and he has come up here just to lead this part of the service, which is around, well, he'll explain it, but it's about Linda just wanting to take the next step of her own discipleship journey. So Scott and Linda, why don't you come up just now? I'll leave it to you guys.